Alrighty, good morning everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. So if you wouldn't mind, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance to start things off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Well, welcome. Thanks for all driving out here. I don't know about you, but I'm from Northern California, where it is currently 90 plus, 100 plus degrees. So I am thankful to be here, even though I had to drive 3 hours. That was kind of a bummer. But yeah, thanks for making your way out here. Even if you live close by, I just appreciate seeing everyone's faces. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the committee reports. I'm going to give kind of a quick recap, Shelly, if you don't mind, on the awards banquet real quick. We had our awards banquet last month. It was amazing. We had a lot of fun. We got to rent out the boat, the Queen Mary, on the Sacramento River. We got to go out, have some drinks, eat some food, celebrate the people in our industry that really deserve the recognition. It was a really fun night. I was hoping to have some pictures to show you guys and some videos, because we did shoot that as kind of like a promotional commercial type thing for next year's event, but I wasn't ready in time. But yeah, it was great. So if you weren't there, got to come out to next year's. We're going bigger and better. The next thing that I'd like to report on is kind of the 911 Goes to Sacramento and the resolution of the Telecommunicators Week that happened last month or the month before. I'm getting my days mixed up. Summer's hitting me. But I was lucky enough to go down to Sacramento to be a part of receiving the resolution for National Telecommunicators Week. On behalf of NAPCO, we had representation from CPRA/Southern California, APCO, and CalNENA. And they sent me the resolution actually just yesterday, so if you guys want to get a closer look, but there it is. Way more official than I was expecting. They said, hey, can we ship you something? And I'm like, sure, we're going to ship you the resolution. And I'm just expecting like a piece of paper. Well, there's a piece of paper, but this is where your tax dollars are going to, apparently. So, but yeah, if you want to take a closer look at that, feel free, just come track me down. But the 911 Goes to Sacramento event was awesome. We had a lot more attendance, about 30% more attendees this year. Everyone was, all the assembly members and senators, they were well receptive of what our message was. Was that partially due because of it is re-election year? Maybe, and they just wanted to, get you to like them, probably. They wanted to get reelected, but whatever. I mean, it was a great time. We got to really get through to people. A special thing that happened this year out of it is one of the senators so part of it, we give an offer to every office that we go and visit. We say, hey, come out and visit a PSAP. We want to show you firsthand what it looks like, because we're speaking on legislation that affects dispatchers. And a senator actually took a dispatch center locally up on that and went out and visited. And they gave him a headset, and they're like, we're going to show you what we actually do, and put them through real calls all day long. It's cool. So we are getting more recognition up there at that Capitol. Our chapter, our dispatchers, like our faces are being more recognized. We're getting a more powerful voice. So it was an amazing event. And if you get the pleasure to, highly recommend attending next year. That's enough of me talking. I'm going to pass it over to Manny to give us an update on conference and commercial activities.
Can I have it? No. Good morning. So first of all, our monthly meetings, we have September available for a sponsor. In July, it'll be Kenwood. In November, it'll be Nokia. And in December, it'll be Eagleview. So we do have September in Tracy available. And starting in October, we'll be looking at next year's schedule. So any commercial wants to be part of us and be one of our sponsors, please let me know. Okay, second, our California State APCO Conference. As you've all heard, it'll be October 1st to the 3rd in Los Angeles, Garden Grove at the Hyatt Regency. As of today, we're at 52 booths sold out of our 70. So we're way ahead of schedule. And I believe on our website, calapco.org, we do have all our tracks, or most of our tracks on it. Jim, you going to put that on? Maybe? Oh, sorry. I was supposed to tell him before. So registration is open for the conference. So you just go to calapco.org under registration, and you can sign up. And if you're a vendor that has not signed up, we're running out of booths. So if you want to be there, it's getting close and close to being sold out. Perfect. These are our sponsors so far. And our exhibitors. And then our tracks so far. Perfect. So calapco.org, this is all on there. And if you have any questions, just find somebody or email us all. Thanks, Jim.
And TBD on those tracks too for more information, as like specific details on those training sessions. Now I'd like to turn it over to Carl to give us an update on a lot of different committees. How about that website, huh? Right?
Okay, so first committee report is Finance and Budget. This is for May's committee report. So as of May 1st, our balance was $185,961.69. At the end of May, the balance was $191,900.65. The income in May was $11,769.80, largely comprised of fees coming in to the show that Manny and Tristan were just talking about. Expenses, $5,830.84, with the biggest expense there being related to use of the riverboat during our awards banquet. If you guys want to see any details, let me know. Membership report through the end of, actually through June 10th. We are at a total of 845 members as of June 10th. We had new members, 38 over the last month and a half. I'm not going to read them out, but the major agencies involved in increasing membership were the California Emergency Medical Services Authority, CHP, Citrus Heights Police Department, Contra Costa County Fire, Elk Grove PD, Sac Regional Fire, and Stanislaus Regional 911. And lastly, our programs report for the 2024 remaining schedule. Next month's July 11th is in Roseville. We will have the FCC there presenting the importance of and best practices for in-building coverage. September is in Tracy, November in Dublin, and December CHP headquarters in Sacramento. I believe we have all of our keynote presenters booked, and as Manny said, we're just looking for the one sponsorship in September. So if you guys have an agenda, on the backside of that are our 2024 upcoming meetings. Any questions on any of those committee reports? Thank you. Just do them all, huh?
Thank you, Carl. I'd like to call up Jackie next, and then while she's walking down here, I wanted to remind you guys we have you think I would have come up with a better name by now, but it's like essentially the loyalty program. I don't know what you want to call it. But essentially every time you attend a meeting, your name is going to be put into a raffle drawing, and at the end of the year at our December show, we're going to draw names out of the hat and give out a door prize. So just make sure you guys are attending meetings and your name is automatically going to be entered.
Good job, Tristan. Hi, everybody. I am your executive council rep, and I just want to give you a quick little report. So at our board meeting, I was reporting back on our lifetime membership. As a interesting thing happened this year. There's a life member who they can't prove has checked all the boxes. So it's a longtime member of APCO, may have been in a committee or served on a committee or part of a board many, many years ago, and the chapter did not keep fantastic records. So it's hard to prove that that person actually served on a committee. So when we submit for lifetime membership or senior membership through APCO, we have to show all the documentation that you've actually served on committees, served as a member of the board, and you can do that by virtue of an agenda or something like that. So we were talking about the how the executive committee can override that and accept the nomination anyway and then put it before a vote. When we go to conference at the second general meeting, the membership votes on whether or not those folks should be granted lifetime membership or, yes, only lifetime membership, because that comes with a lot of benefits for the membership. So in November of last year, I'm sure you guys all know Scott Andrews. He's a longtime member of our chapter and recently moved to Tennessee. So we submitted him for his lifetime membership, and more than well qualified, had all the documentation to back that up. So we submitted that to National, and they kicked it back, saying that it had to be submitted through his new home chapter, which would have been Tennessee, which Scott probably knows a bunch of people in Tennessee already, but this is his home base. This is basically where most of his career happened, and all the stuff on his committees happened through our chapter. But we went along with the process. We gave the packet to Tennessee. The Tennessee chapter resubmitted with a letter of support to National, but we still have not seen his name go up for nomination, and the deadline for that was in February, I believe. So we're going backwards to find out a couple things. If there was an issue, they should have told us so that we could have fixed that, because we submitted in plenty of time to be able to do that. And so we're waiting to hear back. I emailed everybody yesterday, and they are looking into it. So more to follow on Scott's nomination, but we will continue to push and fight for that because it's well overdue. The second issue is we are going to request an amendment to a change to the policy, and I will do that in front of the executive committee in August when we're at conference. And it'll be an amendment to the current policy that says if someone spends the majority of their time in their chapter, a different chapter, and then moves, everybody moves out of California when they retire. So it probably happens here on the west side more than on the east coast. But nonetheless, so I already got that process. They're going to put that on the agenda for the executive committee when they meet before conference to discuss it, and then it'll go on the agenda at the meeting in August. I don't foresee anybody any other chapters pushing back on that. There is a lot of time and work that happens when you're putting a packet together, because you literally have to go sometimes back 25 years into the historical data of the chapter and pull those old agendas and meetings and those kinds of things. So for someone to move into a new chapter 3/4 of the way through their career and then expect that chapter to be able to collect that data it's not realistic. So we're going to request an amendment to that policy so that moving forward we don't have this issue. I'm assuming it will be supported there's no reason why it shouldn't be supported. And it probably just has never been challenged, and we've never come across it before. So I'm waiting to hear back from our Western regional directors on the next step and the status today on Scott's nomination that we submitted back in November. Okay, that's it. Thanks. Yes. I'll repeat it. Yeah, so the question was, is the criteria listed on the national website? It is for both senior and life membership. And so you can pull that up, but I don't know it by heart, but you have to spend some time on the board. You have to serve in a leadership position on the board of your local chapter. You have to do so many years within a committee, which is also one of the reasons why if you sign up for a committee and you're not participating, they will kick you off the committee. Because a lot of time and effort goes into those committees, and you shouldn't get credit for it if you're not actively participating, because it goes towards ultimately those benefits of senior and life membership. Yeah, but those are listed on the website. We try to keep track of those in conjunction with Southern California. Annually, we kind of look back and see who might be getting close, so that we can reach out to the member and submit those. Because it looks great for our chapter that we have a lot of senior and life members, and plus it's the least that we can do for our membership. So we try to keep really good records. We've gotten way better as time goes on. The more we do these submissions, the better we get. But this was just kind of an anomaly that popped up that we weren't expecting, and so we'll request that change. But if you are close to life membership or senior membership, then let us know if we've missed that, and we're happy to kind of go backwards and look through our data and give you whatever supporting document that we have available. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, so it seems like no matter how many times I do this, I always get things in the wrong order. So we're going to go back in the agenda, and we're going to do introductions. So, sorry. I'm Tristan. I'm your president. I work for the city of Roseville as an IT analyst. I'm just going to snake it around somehow.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Casey Link with Carbyne.
Good morning, Kathy Conley, Vision Communications, two-way radio dealer, sales, service, rentals, and installation. Should I just go up this side and then? Okay.
Good morning, Christina Meritori, Foster City Dispatch Supervisor.
Jeff Davis, Confire Telecommunications Specialist.
Good morning, Shelley McMahon, CalOES, and your Board of Director.
Tim Semenov, CalOES Broadband Services Unit.
And I'm Mike Beckstrand, also with CalOES. I'm the Region 3 Communications Coordinator at CalOES, basically everything from Yuba City to Oregon and everything in between, and your Chapter Vice President.
Hey, I'm Alex Hacker with EagleView, High Resolution Aerial Imagery.
Shirley Nicholas from Burlingame PD. I'm the lead dispatcher.
Hi, good morning. Paul Troxel, CalOES 911 Branch Manager.
Good morning. Heather Crane, CalOES 911 Advisor.
Hi, Janae Dabrowski, CalOES Advisory and Compliance Unit Supervisor.
Hi, Jen Curtis, Customer Service Manager, Motorola.
Hi, Kelly O'Keefe, San Mateo PD. Police Technical Services Administrator. It's a long title.
Jackie Barberini, the City of Redwood City. I'm the Communications Dispatcher Supervisor and your Executive Council Rep.
Good morning. This is Kami Rahnama. I'm from the City and County of San Francisco, Comm Systems Technician.
Dawson, also with San Francisco Department of Technology, Radio Tech.
Good morning, Carl Grover, City of Roseville IT Department, and your president-elect.
Good morning, Manny Vieira. I'm your chapter CCAM and a member of the Commercial Advisory Council.
Jim Lencioni of the County of Placer. I'm your chapter PIO, and just as a reminder, we are streaming to YouTube live, so people can watch remotely if needed, and if you're not picked up by a microphone, they don't hear you.
Thank you all very much. Yeah, I need to get better at this whole schedule thing. So with that being said, we have a networking break for about 8 minutes. So see you back at 10 o'clock. There's coffee and waters in the room down there. Restrooms out through the door you came in, down a hallway over here. 8 minutes. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and reconvene now. So if you wouldn't mind finding your seats, please. Jackie. Just kidding. Alrighty, so without further ado, I will turn the floor over now to Casey from Carbyne. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tristan. Can we, you guys hear me all right? Okay, you may, but I don't know about the people online. Good morning, everyone. I'm Casey Link with Carbyne. A lot of familiar faces in the room here, hopefully some more online. So for some of you, the presentation for Carbyne may be a little redundant, but there are a few updates in here as well. We presented a few months ago back in Napa, and updates since then is one, Paul and his team have been so gracious to give us the thumbs up and certify our call handling solution Apex on the CalOES contract. And furthermore on that is we have AT&T as an authorized reseller on contract with Carbyne as well. So for those of you who are not familiar with Carbyne, a little bit about who we are and where we come from. Our CEO, Amir, about over a decade ago was at a beach in Israel, and he had gotten robbed. And he had called the equivalent of 911 over in Israel. And hey, the police said, "Hey, where are you?" "I'm at the beach." "Well, what beach?" "I'm by the lifeguard tower." "What lifeguard tower?" And he became frustrated with that location gap between himself calling into 911 and the first responders to police in that case trying to identify specifically where he was. And as he thought about it, earlier that day, an Uber had dropped him off at the beach. He had DoorDash delivered to his house. They sent him a picture that his delivery had been dropped off. And there's all this technology that we have on our phones, but it didn't exist in the 911 emergency communication space. So he identified that gap, which many of you are well aware of, but then he started to develop his technology and his platform for Carbyne. Initially, we started out as an app on the phone, but as we all know, no one wants another app on the phone. So we moved to an appless program, and I'll go through a couple different applications that we have. But one thing about this is in 2014, when he and the founding team started the company, cloud native, cloud computing, cloud technology was really in full adoption by business elsewhere. So when he started this company, it was built on the cloud for the cloud. We are never servers, blinking lights in a back room. We are completely cloud native, and that's how we are today. Fast forward to 2019. That's when he and the team moved from Israel to New York, where we're currently headquartered. And then we brought on first few customers in Fayette and Orleans Parish, Louisiana. And they were kind of our initial customers that we brought on. Since then, we have, I think, as of yesterday, 64 customers in the U.S. We have in over 5 countries, U.S., Mexico, Colombia, Ukraine, and Israel. And we have roughly 170 employees globally. About half those are our R&D and development team over in Israel, and the rest of us are here in the U.S., handful in Mexico and Colombia as well. A little bit about, I talked about why he developed this company or started this company, but these are all familiar to you. And what Carbyne does is we look at these pain points that you guys see day in and day out, and we try to address or develop technologies that can address this. Staffing shortages, we incorporate various forms of artificial intelligence into our platform to try to speed up the time for answering calls, dispatching calls, and getting resolution to that. Inaccurate caller location. So in addition to Annie-Alley information, we can also collect device location from mobile devices. Limited situational awareness. We do have the ability to share pictures, text, and video, live video from the callers. Deteriorating citizen safety. We incorporate things like silent chat. So in addition to text to 911, we also have silent chat incorporated into our platform. Outdated software and security vulnerabilities is kind of tied together. Like I said, we are a completely cloud native platform. We are hosted on the AWS GovCloud. And really what that means is there's no software updates that are going to be lagging behind or pending. Whenever we release an update or even a fix to any of our platforms, you get a little notification just like you do on your phone in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You log out, log back in, and then you'll be on the latest version of the platform. So not only does that include enhancements to the platform, but as we roll out new features and products, those will be available with that simple update as well. And then we get results. A lot of what we do revolves around response time, answer time, and then getting the help to the call takers as quick as possible. One interesting one that I like to call out here is we've partnered with a handful of state DOT customers to reduce their response time from an average of 27 minutes all the way down to 4 minutes. In this specific case, for minor accidents that used to require a trooper to go on site and document the actual incident, what they've been able to do is use our video technology to take video, capture images of the accident, and then file a police report from the video and pictures that are taken, and then there's no need for that actual trooper to respond to that accident. Today I'm going to be talking primarily about Carbyne Apex. That is our complete call handling solution. But in addition to that, we also offer Universe, which offers much of the same functionality, but an over-the-top solution. So that can work with your existing call handling that you use today. We also offer Carbyne Connect. That's the ability for citizens in your community to input information into their profile and volunteer information, maybe elderly, specific medical conditions, etc. So when they dial in, that can auto-populate into our intelligence pane and give you, the call takers, that information about who that citizen is. ECAS is our ability to integrate into your CAD workflow. So a lot of times that video or that picture can be integrated directly into your CAD workflow. And then Bridge Desk is our command and control system that collects and displays various open API data sources that you have in your communities, whether it's ShotSpotter, vehicles, traffic cams, et cetera, can all be consolidated into that single pane of glass. As I mentioned, this is all built on the cloud for the cloud. We are not a cloud hosted, we are a cloud native platform. There is a difference between the two. And what this does is it minimizes your on-prem equipment. We don't have servers or blinking lights. You can run on a laptop as long as it meets the hardware requirements from, theoretically, your home office or your actual PSAP itself. The cloud native, it really future-proofs your PSAP. So as new technologies evolve, as we push out new technologies to the platform, and you log off, log back in, and you're going to have the latest version of that specific software. Agile event coverage, like I said, we are hosted on the AWS GovCloud, and being we're cloud native, what that allows you to do is if you were to see a large rise in events in your specific area, whether that's for some type of incident like the Super Bowl. I live down in Los Angeles, so you think of SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, it's a smaller PSAP right in that neighborhood, but if they host the Olympics or the Super Bowl or large concerts at, what's the event, the Kia Forum there, there's no need to scale up larger, because if more calls were to come in, you're going to see no degradation to your call handling platform, as we are hosted on AWS GovCloud. And then finally, product reliability. We adhere to those 5.9 SLAs, and we've never breached that downtime either. We have that perimeter security architecture, ensuring that any ransomware attacks are held away from your PSAP, and we keep those away and not to be a concern for you. So Apex, like I said, we have a handful of products in our portfolio, but today I'm going to talk about Apex, which is our complete call handling platform, offering full call management, live video, silent instant messaging, in addition to text to 911, accurate dynamic location. We incorporate artificial intelligence with our call triage functionality, audio translation and transcription, both one-way and two-way. Callers can call in, speaking a different language, can translate that to English, and then your call takers can speak back in English, and that can translate back to whatever language they're calling in on. In addition to that, we recently offered what we call Ivy, or it's our artificial intelligence for your admin lines, and that is an artificial intelligence bot that allows you, the caller, to call in and have more of a conversational type dialect with that bot to resolve many of those admin calls that you guys will have at your PSAP. This is all built on your what we try to make an intuitive user experience. We know you guys are looking at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screens, many tabs, tabs beneath tabs. What we try to do is consolidate as much of that information as possible into one screen. And we've recently developed our new user interface, which allows you to pick and choose what items you have on your individual screen. So your call information will be located up here in the upper left-hand side, but items such as your map could be in the center, but maybe you use your CAD maps, so you can minimize that screen or pop it out to another one. Our default is Google Maps, but we also integrate with your Esri maps as well. Video, that can be popped out or expanded or closed altogether. You're not going to get video for every call that you have, but if it is relevant, you're able to expand that, pop it out, move it around, maybe move it to another screen if you'd like. That intelligence pane, so I mentioned the Citizens Connect, Responder Connect. If they enter medical information into their profile, that's where that will populate. Also, if there's open API or IoT devices in that specific area, shot spotter cameras, street cameras, etc., flock cameras, that could all populate in the intelligence pane. And then ongoing calls, recent calls that you have going on in your PSAP, that can be viewed here, or it can be popped out in large, looked on another screen as well. So like I said, we have live video, so when an individual calls in, what we do is calls in and we can either push an automatic text message to that individual's phone, an SMS, and that can also go to WhatsApp. That can be configured to either manually be pushed or automatically pushed to the caller. What they do is they get a link, they open up that link, and I'll go through all this. They open up that link, ask for permission to view their location and as well as their video, and then that individual can share their video with your call taker. Silent instant messaging. So in addition to text to 911, we also have silent instant messaging in cases where the individual may not be able to talk. The example that we give, one of our customers in Ohio, her husband was physically and sexually abusing her one day after he was under the influence of various substances, and he had a shotgun in his hand. She had said, or he had told her, hey, go lay down in bed. We're gonna go take a nap together. She had called 911, but didn't say anything. So what the call taker did was initiated that silent chat, and she was able to communicate with that call taker via the silent chat. No beeps, no dings, no vibrations, none of that. She was also able to share their location. What they did is they responded to that incident. They had SWAT stacked outside the door. They sent 3, 2, 1. SWAT made the entry. They rolled her off the bed and they made the arrest in that specific case. We found out just like a month or so ago in that specific case that they were able to use that information from that chat. I think the individual without that chat was going to be sentenced to maybe 2 years in prison, but he ended up getting an 8-year prison sentence because of the information that was provided in that silent chat there. Dynamic and accurate caller location. So we're able to, when we push that link to the individual's phone, we're able to track that cell phone. And even if they move around, every 5 seconds or 10 meters, you're going to get an updated location of where that cell phone is. No need to read bid, it'll be automatic. And it'll also provide breadcrumbs for that caller as well. We just used this last week in Atlanta. There was a bus that was hijacked. This is also a movie, Speed, but this is a real situation where this happened this last week where a bus was hijacked in Atlanta. A passenger on the bus called 911, and they had sent them the text to track their location, and the caller on the bus, kind of had his phone down, but they were tracking the location of that specific bus using our device location capabilities. Two-way live audio translation and transcription. So in addition, we also translate text messages as well. But if phones are set to a specific language, Spanish, whatever that language may be, Spanish is the predominant one that we have here in California. But we're able to detect from that phone what language that may be, but we can also listen in. Our AI can listen in and auto-detect what language they're speaking, translate that to English. The taker can call back speaking in English, and that will translate back to that native language that they have. So that will be the audio version of it, but then on the transcription pane, it's kind of like a closed caption. That will come up and that will transcribe that language as well. I got a brief video that I'll share with you to show you what that looks like. I am not a fluent Spanish speaker, and it really doesn't work when you're all in the same room together. So this is our two-way translation video, and I'll call out a couple points here as I go through. Calls coming in.
911, what's the address of your emergency? I will send help. Where are you located?
Te enviaré ayuda. ¿Dónde se encuentra? Gracias, estoy enfrente de la Casa Roja.
What kind of car was it? What did the person look like? What was the person wearing?
¿Qué tipo de auto era? ¿Qué aspecto tenía la persona? ¿Qué llevaba puesto la persona? Es un coche pequeño, la persona lleva una camisa negra.
Help is on the way.
La ayuda está en camino.
So what you saw there is the caller calls in. It takes a minute for the AI bot to register and listen in to detect that language, but it's going to show you what language is detected in your transcription pane here, and then that will transcribe from their language that they speak, English, and then when that call taker speaks back, it will translate that back to the caller in their native language. Just of note, this is not intended to replace your language lines. It's intended to add supplemental information to your call takers. Because it is AI driven, it's constantly learning and evolving. We went live with this first in New Orleans, and the initial feedback that we got from them was like, yeah, it helps, but it's not great, not perfect. But then the more they used it, we came back a couple months later, and they're like, yeah, it's learning, it's picking up local Creole, local language, local dialect, and it's becoming more and more of a useful tool for them. The next one, how we incorporate AI into our platform, is what we call call triage. So what call triage does, it integrates with your CAD, and what it can do is it can identify several events located all within the same proximity with a geofence in a certain area, i.e. a car accident at a major intersection. And when your PSAP gets overloaded or you have more calls coming in than you have call takers, what it will do is automatically pick up and it will say, it's an AI bot, are you calling about the incident at the intersection of the 405 and Jefferson Boulevard? I live in Los Angeles, so that's an intersection by me. And the call taker can say yes, so it's interactive. Do you have are you involved in the incident? Yes. Now that that individual is involved in that specific incident, they will automatically be put to the top of the call queue. If that caller said, no, I'm not involved in that incident, AI bot comes back, do you have amplifying information? No, I'm just calling to report this. AI bot comes back and says, we are aware of this situation, this incident. Feel free to stay on the line or you can hang up. So that will eliminate that call where calls are just trying to call and report the incident, but they don't have amplifying information. If they were to call about a separate issue, completely separate from the accident, caller calls in, maybe they're having a heart attack. They're saying, help, help, I'm having a heart attack, I need help. The AI bot will listen to that. They understand that it's not related to that call, that car accident. It will automatically put that call to the top of the queue. If at any time any of those callers hang up, they're going to get a text message back saying, you called about this incident, or you called San Mateo Police Department, do you require a callback? The caller can text back, 1, yes, I require a callback, 2, I do not require a callback, and that can eliminate those calls from their queue. And then, as I mentioned, one of our newer features is what we call Ivy for admin line. It's integrating AI into your admin lines. Most PSAPs do handle admin lines, and they're very time consuming. It can take up a large majority of those calls. And then what we try to do here is reduce several of those admin calls that could be taken by the AI bot itself. This can help with staffing shortages, community expectations. A lot of times those admin lines, if you're flooded with 911 calls, those admin lines get put on hold for a long time. So this can help speed up that process for those callers in that perspective. Also, multi-vendor complexity. If someone's calling in about trash pickup, they call in, they talk to the bot, hey, I want to understand what day trash collection is for 1234 Main Street. It can either transfer them to the sanitation department, it can answer that question, or it could even say for 1234 Main Street, trash collection is on Mondays. And we can build out those workflows for your specific PSAP however you need. I'll do a quick video on that. We talked about that. Cases, information requests, like I talked about the trash situation there. One of the customers that we're rolling this out with right now, they have 3 different trash bins, like a green, a blue, and a black. But every color trash bin goes out on a different day. I don't know why any city would do that, but this city did. What day is green bin day? That is what they thought was one of the most common questions they had coming into their PSAP is what is trash bin day? So they built out an AI flow to answer those calls. Blue bin day is on Mondays, green bin is this day or whatever. But then we also have analytics on the back end that's continuously approving that and identifying where those actual calls are coming from and what specific situations they are. It can also be set up for call routing. So if anyone's calling, maybe their vehicle was towed or there's a parking violation that they'd like to report, they can call in, and rather than your PSAP handling that, they speak to the bot, hey, my vehicle was towed, and can say, I understand that your vehicle was towed, we can transfer you over to the towing department, and completely bypass your PSAP. And it's all based on the needs of your PSAP and how we build those out. This isn't a simple call tree where you press 1 for sanitation, 2 for animal control. It's actual conversational based, and it is continually learning. And the caller always has the option to say, speak with an operator, speak with a representative. We all get annoyed when we're just pressing 0 repeatedly and we don't get anybody, but that can all be built into the workflow itself. And then very important is that analytics on the back end as well. I'll show you some screenshots of what that looks like. So this is all tailored to your specific PSAP. It's not a, here it is. We build it based off of what you determine are the most frequently admin calls you have coming in. And like I said, I talked about the seamless bypass there. And then the self-service solution as well is to allow those individuals, maybe even things like filing a report. If there is graffiti and people are calling in to report graffiti, they can call it in, submit a report, and it can even generate a case number or a report number for that. And then the report number, your report number 12345, the caller can call back the next day, hey, the graffiti's here. I reported this yesterday, report number 12345. They can reference that, and then they can say, yes, report 12345 for the graffiti. We have this department going out there now, later today. It's on their list of things to do. Analytics, so we look at how many calls came in, how many were taken by the AI bots versus how many were transferred to, where they were transferred to, what that call volume looks like. And then we can really dive into like what are those most common requests that you get for your admin lines. Here it's kind of blurry, but it's like garbage collection, block streets, and then what we can do from there is we can build those AI call flows to help with those specific situations. That's all I've got for that. I'd like to show you now what our platform looks like. So this is our call handling platform, Apex. Like I said, all of these screens will be configurable to your specific user. So each individual call taker will have their own individual user preferences where they can adjust and modify the layout of this screen. And when they log off and then they log back in, it will default to their previously saved preferences that they have. So like I said, we do have Google Maps as our default, but should you want to integrate with your Esri maps, you can do that as well. Network location, device location, I'll show you what that looks like. Your video pane will show up in the center here. If a caller were to share video with your PSAP, that video will initially come in blurred, so that caller does not need to see that, but should they want to see it, they can open up that video to watch the video. They can forward it on to the supervisor, and it can subsequently be forwarded on to first responders. At any time, they can black out that video if they don't want to see it anymore. All of your contacts are going to be located on the left-hand side, and then agent status of the various agents that or call takers that you have in your PSAP will display there. I'll just go ahead and I'll make a call here to kind of walk through what that call flow looks like. My information is going to come up there. I'm going to mute myself so I don't get feedback. So now we could say, well, I can help, can you hear me? So that's going to transcribe right there down on the bottom. In addition to showing there, it's also going to show in our transcription pane, and this is where that translation is going to show up as well. Any attributes that may come in from that responder, Citizen Connect, that responder ability would show up in the intelligence pane. You as call takers also have the ability to put notes in this pane. That frequent caller who's calling in quite often, or maybe each individual can put in specific information on that caller. So when they call in, the call takers can view, what that looks like in here. Our IoT pane. So should you be connected with ShotSpotter, flock cameras, whatever it is in your community, this can all be integrated into our intelligence pane. The silent chat will show up here. So this is also where your text 911 will show up. What's happened on my phone is I received a text message. It says U.S. Sales Apex. This would be configured to your specific PSAP, San Mateo Police Department. You get a text message. I'm going to click on that link. It is going to ask me to share my location. Would like to share your current location. I'm going to hit allow. What you're going to see is it's going to translate to device location, and will automatically reorient to where we are right now. And next, it's going to ask to share my camera. I'm going to hit allow as well, and I'm going to go around the room. Like I said, it's going to be blurred, but should the call taker want to see what that looks like, they can watch that live stream. So this is the caller calling in. Maybe it's a robbery. We got a suspicious individual. I hope you gave me permission to do that. None of this is going to be backed up to the caller's phone. All of this is going to be backed up to AWS GovCloud. Only your PSAP is going to have access to this information. So you can take pictures. I can chat. This is that silent chat that I talked about. That's going to show up in the chat pane as well, and you can chat back and forth. Oops. You have the ability to see what information the caller is sharing with you. So they're on their mobile device, they're sharing their location, and they're also sharing video as well. It's a pretty accurate location that we have right now. 150 altitude, 22, accelerate, not moving around. But if I were to be moving around, this location would update, and then would also have the breadcrumb feature as well, so you'd be able to see where I'm going and potentially where I've been and potentially where I'm going. We can incorporate various layers in here, such as traffic. I talked about the breadcrumbs if I was moving around. If we had ongoing calls going on, or any recent calls can all be integrated in there as well. We have the ability to conference up to 6 individuals on that call, and you can transfer that call to whoever's in the conference. This is that transcription pane. The responder connect ability this is where we can send that video. We also have the ability to send the audio and the location to first responders. So if the fire department's going out to a fire, someone is sharing their video, that can be forwarded to the fire department in their vehicles. They can have that on tablet command, and as they approach the scene, they can be watching the video. They can also see the location of where the caller is calling from, and then the audio, they can listen in to what that caller is saying at the same time as well. Here's all your agent status. So supervisors, you have the ability to see what's going on in your PSAP. I want to be respectful of time here. If you have any questions over this, I'm happy to go into more, but I also want to show you what's happening in the background. So this is what we call our events history. And all of your calls are going to be backed up to events history. This is web-based, so you can access this from wherever you are. And this is where you're can go back and review calls to determine what attributes they had. So location was shared, video was shared, audio, etc. So we can go ahead and click on that call, dig in there. We can watch the video. This is my coworker Sean. He's in New York this week. We can watch the video that he had. We can see all the attributes of the call, who ended the call, location information, any images that were shared, chat conversations that took place, and then any transcription that took place during that call as well. If it were to come in a foreign language, it would show both the foreign language that it transcribed to as well as what that was translated to in English. And then all of this can be exported to PDF. You select what you want recorded in that PDF. You hit export, and there you go. You're going to have your, there's a lot of information in there, so it might take a second. You'll have all that information in that PDF report. Media, pictures, and video will not be exported to a PDF, but you can save those and then, like do a simple JPEG or whatever file you choose on that one. And here's your complete report of that entire call. In addition to events history, this is also where you're going to manage all of your contacts. Speed dials can be accessed in here. Events history, I talked to that one. We have analytics, so you can really drill down into agent performance, what type of calls they're taking, what time calls are coming in, etc. Video wallboard, this is a couple. So if you have multiple calls coming in, a lot of PSAPs have them all displayed with the different call queues coming in. If there's a backup in calls, you'll be able to see that there. Seat map, if you're at a large PSAP and you aren't able to see all of your call takers, or if you have a remote site where you're operating multiple sites at the same time, a supervisor would be able to see all your call takers on the seat map here, what their status is. If they need help, they can raise their hand, and you can listen into the call. You can barge into that call. And then video wallboard. If you have an incident where multiple videos are all coming in at the same time, it looks like mine's the only one going right now. But if we had multiple videos coming in at the same time, you can look and see all those videos coming in and pick which one you wanted to choose from, and then you could pass that along to first responders. User management, this is where you're going to set user permissions for everyone on your team, and then activity log for everyone on your team as well. Any questions for me on Carbyne Apex? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to terminate this call if that's all right. I'm sorry. Yep.
How many languages do you utilize for translation with the system?
I need to just add this slide because every single time it gets quite asked. So here we go. Currently today, we support 14 languages. By the end of Q3, we'll support roughly 80 languages. And then we have these additional ones on our roadmap, and this is all based on customer feedback. So if you have a specific language that's spoken in your area, you let us know. We'll add that to our roadmap, and as long as it's available. Haitian Creole, that came specifically from our New Orleans customer, so we added that to our roadmap.
Okay, and also, when you show the location, like you're inside of a building, if you go to another room inside of that building, are you able to update the location within the building structure?
So yeah, it will update. It all depends on the accuracy and how strong of signal that they will have. If there's another program that has the floors and the specific layout of that building, we don't have that ourselves, but we would be able to. We're an open API, so we could incorporate that into our platform.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Yes.
For your non-emergency call handling, does that program speak to, so like we have a citywide voicemail program, like a VoIP system right now that we depend on, which is from 1985. But so are you deploying these like citywide or only in 911 centers?
This is early access. We're only developing this specifically with Miami-Dade right now.
Okay.
Right now, it would just be specifically for PSAPs, but we could look into that.
So my question is, how would it integrate with our current voicemail system? So it's push 1 for, push 2 for, and then they all default to dispatch.
000?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to speak with someone.
Yes.
So it would replace that then in that case.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. This might be for Paul, though. We get money for answering 911 calls. If AI answers the call, do we get money for it still, since our live person didn't answer the call?
So if it's a 911 call, it's still registering on your MIS, so you're going to get credit for that. We don't pay for your non-emergency work.
Correct. All right, thank you.
And thank you for that. And so that is an add-on feature. So for Paul and his team, we have our core Apex license, which that we can talk to Paul about that, but add-on features, those are separate, such as the IV lines. Any other questions? Excellent. If you have any questions, I'll be right down here. Happy to provide more information, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Am I live? Thank you very much, Casey. That was awesome. The nerd in me just loves seeing what AI is doing. Well, after that amazing presentation, we have a networking break now until 11 o'clock. So go refresh your coffee, network, have some fun. See you back at 11.
and we just didn't have enough engineering support. So we decided, let's go out and get a contract with IT project management, get some expertise to come in, let them manage the scheduling, let them lead all of the conference calls, all of the testing, do all of that data collection, and when trouble tickets are issued, our team is getting that data and they're tracking and following up on those trouble tickets. So we hired a company called Promethean One, who came in with 911 Authority as a subcontractor. 911 Authority, we've got a lot of experience with here in California. They helped design our Next Gen 911 plan back about 2017, and then about 2018, they came on board to give us guidance on developing our Next Gen 911 technology and what later developed into our request for proposal for the services we have today. And that team, their job is to collect all of this data and really help us hold our vendors accountable to make sure that everybody's playing fair in the sandbox. So what we did is we created two teams. We have our PSAP migration team, and then we have a pre-migration readiness team. So the work here is our regional network service provider, and I'll use this area, Synergym is the North Region service provider in partnership with Atos, and the CPE maintenance provider. So who here has AT&T maintenance CPE? Anybody have direct, like Motorola Direct or Intrado Direct? Intrado Direct? Anything else? Zetron, Square? Okay. So what we're doing is we're partnering whoever's maintaining your CPE with our Next Gen 911 providers, and we're setting up very specific testing calls. The migration team is focused on those PSAPs who are really ready to go. They're in the final steps. And then we have a group of PSAPs who we know they have work to do, so that second team is going out a couple of weeks out ahead of the schedule and getting all of those PSAPs cleaned up. Our teams, when they're testing and a ticket is identified, if they're in the migration PSAPs, we're treating that as a 911 outage, which has very specific response times. So that means everybody's got to get their engineers and project leads on the phone and work through that trouble to get it rectified. If they can't, then they come up with a work plan to get it fixed within a couple of hours or a couple of days. And then we come back, once that trouble ticket's fixed, we come back and complete the testing there. Our goal is to have all of these PSAPs in this migration schedule tested, validated within about a 2-week window. What we're finding is this is very complex, and every PSAP has a little demon that lives in your back room. So we can all have Motorola Vesta managed by AT&T, put in your back room within 18 months of each other, and when we get there, everyone is different. It's an extremely frustrating project because of all those little demons that we're finding. This is an area that I really, really want to focus in on, and I'm hoping to get some conversation going. Here, remember when you took your first wireless call? When CHP was like, hey, local PSAPs, you got to take these wireless calls from us. We're going to send them to you. Do you remember when that happened? Okay, a couple of you. For those who didn't experience that wonderful day, when I worked at the Sacramento Police Department when we took our first wireless call, and everybody was like, oh my God, we're going to take this wireless tower, one tower, and it's one sector, and it's going to increase our call load by 25 billion calls a day, and we're going to get overloaded, and we're going to work as hard as P does, and it's terrible. So we were all amped up. But on that day, we were like, what's going to happen? We get all prepared. All of a sudden, 911 call came in. 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, hi, this is Bob with Verizon Wireless. I'm doing a test call. How is my voice? Hear you loud and clear, Bob. What's my location? 123 Main Street. Lat long, this. ESN, that. All right, I'll call you back. 15 minutes later, 911. Yeah, is Bob with Verizon Wireless doing another test call? How's my voice? Good. After about 5 or 6 calls, 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, this is Bob with Verizon Wireless. You are now live with Verizon Wireless on this cell sector. Have a nice day. No confetti, no balloons. The mayor wasn't there cutting the big ribbon. That was it. And we were live. And nothing changed. Other than we got the call direct, CHP didn't transfer us the call. That was the big difference. So in the next gen 911 world, what do you think is going to happen? The same thing. And you're really going to experience what's going to happen in our test calls. And what we ask for each PSAP to provide us is we need a dedicated resource on that test day that can answer these test calls and could go through. And these are just a few of the test scripts I put down just as examples. But we're going to have somebody from the region provider doing these tests, and they're going to call, can you hear me? Yes. What's your anti-alley look like? What's your lat long? Can you put me on hold? Can you do a system park? Can somebody else in the center pick me up? Can you transfer me? Can you transfer me back? Can you transfer me but tell the PSAP not to answer me? Let it ring. I'm going to call and hang up and experience an abandon. And they're going to go through, with CHP, it's like 120 test scripts. With every other PSAP, it's a little less than that. But we're testing every feature of what happens in a 911 call. And it's super important that we do that because we're finding that occasionally somebody fat fingers the program. So in the next gen world, we're using a URI for transfer. In a legacy world, we're using star code for transfer. In legacy, we've had 30 years of cleaning up star code errors. In the next gen world, we've had 4 months of cleaning up programming errors. Really looking to make sure that CPE is programmed properly. And that's one of our biggest things that we're experiencing today. So who here has admin access and knowledge of how to go into your CPE and change speed dial or dialing configuration? Okay, not a lot. So Don Jones, everybody know Don Jones? He's joined our team a couple of years ago. He has experience doing this. And he worked with our engineering team to develop a script for the OES team that can walk you through if you're not comfortable or you forgot a step. And what we found is when we were doing testing and we had an error in the URI configuration, they would stop and say, okay, we need to enter a trouble ticket, get this fixed, we'll be back in a couple of days. But it's a simple fix. It only takes 5 minutes. So we could get somebody in the background to do that fix. Well, Don, a bunch of PSAPs through that process. He developed a script for the rest of the OES team, and he did some training with the team to be able to walk PSAPs through how to do this process. So we expect this now to be done over the phone during testing, so we don't have to stop and come back. Just a couple of minutes, do the update, and continue testing. Any questions about our testing protocol? All right, lively group. So I've been doing a lot of research lately. And one of the things, I'm very interested in leadership styles, and I read a book that said Dracula was a terrible CEO. He was always fighting with stakeholders. Okay, we are awake, good. Our deployment plan. When we first started the project, we did not anticipate the complexity that we found. So we were thinking, well, this is going to be easy. We come in, we connect this, we connect that, we plug that in, get it brought up, we do some configuration, and everything's magic. It didn't really work. We found that we needed a lot of testing, a lot of work in the back room to get everything perfect. So we did a refocus about 3 months ago, and we've decided instead of trying to go out throughout the entire state and do this deployment, we're focusing on areas where we can control the environment, and most importantly, we have to cut based on a PSAP transfer cluster. And when I say PSAP transfer cluster, I'm talking about, think of your PSAP and all of those agencies that you transfer to. So for the city of Sacramento, transferred to the county of Sacramento, Citrus Heights, Elk Grove, Galt, Folsom, Placer County, Yolo County, the city of Woodland, the U.S. Coast Guard, city of Louisville, CHP, Sacramento. Do they do CHP Golden Gate from Sacramento? No, just CHP Sac. Stanislaus, no, San Joaquin County, Sutter County, El Dorado County, as an example. So when the city of Sacramento is ready to go live, we need to make sure everybody they transfer to can accept a next-gen 911 transfer call. So Sacramento is somewhat complex. LA, crazy complex. Everybody transfers to somebody in LA. So we started with the easiest ones at Imperial County, in South Lake Tahoe, in El Dorado County. And then we started to look at where's the next easiest. And we found Kern County has what we deem as the next easiest transfer cluster. Although Kern County, when you come in with CHP Bakersfield, Kern County and the 9 PSAPs they have in Kern County, I think it is, they all transferred to San Bernardino, Riverside, throughout the valley, and then LA County. So there is some complexity in Kern County for us. So what we're doing is we're working specific with the local PSAPs. We have 4 identified that we go live with that have very simple transfers, and then CHP Bakersfield. If we can get them live, then we can start working because San Bernardino, Riverside, and LA are in the southern region or LA region separate. Then we have to be able to transfer a call from the region vendor to the prime vendor, who then can deliver it to the PSAP outside of the central region. We're working that now. We've spent a lot of time dedicated there. We've got 4 PSAPs that are currently ready to migrate. We're working with CHP Bakersfield. They're the one that kingpin for us. Once they're ready, we'll be able to send CHP Bakersfield and 4 PSAPs live on the next-gen network, and then work with the remaining 5 PSAPs to bring them live. And then we're going to work up north from Kern County throughout the Central Valley. We also tested Calaveras County this week. Calaveras County tested good. They're ready to go. In that area, CHP Fresno services Calaveras. They're already taking next-gen 911 calls, so we're looking at when we can migrate Calaveras County. They're in that Tuolumne area, so a lot of that network is already live. They're taking calls already. So we believe that's going to be easy. From there, we're also working in Orange County. We have a couple of PSAPs that are tested, ready to go and migrate in Orange County. The complexity there is Orange County to San Diego County, Riverside County, and San Bernardino County, and LA County. That those PSAPs are ready to accept next-gen 911 transfers. Because once a next-gen call comes in, it has to transfer as a 911 call, has to transfer on next-gen 911 network. It can't go back through a legacy network into the PSAP. It has to stay within network. We can do a 10-digit transfer, but who wants that? We get a 911 call with all this data, then to do a 10-digit transfer strips all of that information out, and then depending on that PSAP you're transferring to, how do they queue 10-digit emergency calls? It just adds a lot of difficulty in that call processing. In the LA region, we're currently live at El Camino Community College. Now, El Camino Community College is the thriving metropolis of your local community colleges in the LA region. They don't have a lot of traffic. But what we wanted to do is bring that traffic in because they have great partnerships with their transfer PSAPs. So we can get traffic there, and then we can start to problem solve. How do we prepare the rest of the LA County to go live on NextGen? So we've got a couple of PSAPs in the LA region ready. We're just getting everything else cleaned up to be able to start to get them live on the network. So any questions about the NextGen deployment? Yes, sir. So they're $1.50 per question.
Okay, I can afford that.
Okay.
The first question is, you mentioned CHP years ago decided to tell all the PSAPs, okay, we're going to transfer our calls to you, get ready. And it went successful. What percentage of calls would you say today, or let's say in the past years, end up going to the local police stations that happen to be close to a freeway corridor that ends up receiving the calls, let's say mistakenly? And my second question is, why would you, in a regular normal circumstance, transfer a call? If someone calls 911 and it goes to a regional, fairly close call center, why would you have to transfer it to another place? And my third question is, if 911 lines go down, how do you have a backup, or let's say redundant system to handle those type of situations? Thank you.
So I don't have the current transfer stats, but I will say legislation was passed about 2016, 2017. Legislation was passed for CalOES in partnership with CHP to evaluate cell sectors that had a 20% or greater transfer rate out of the cell sector. Those calls had to be evaluated, and then if that cell sector had to be reassigned either to another PSAP or back to CHP, that work is done. And that's the wireless routing project that's done annually. Throughout the course of the year, that's a constant for us, and the CHP team's got a dedicated resource to evaluate those. But specific, how many calls are transferred from local PSAP back to CHP, I don't have that, but I will say in a next-gen environment that goes away because we're no longer routing on cell sector. Remember, in today's world, cell towers out, you have 3 sectors coming out 120-degree arc, reaching out, depending on where you are, a couple hundred meters or 5,000 meters. Anybody good at math? So if you have a 120-degree arc going out 5,000 meters, what is it at the end, point to point? A lot, right? So the problem in legacy 911 routing is you can be out in a rural field, call 911, and we know you're in the cell sector 125 meters-ish in this area, 5,000 meters from the tower. How do we find you? In the next-gen environment, we're routing based on your handset location if you're calling on a wireless device. In the data that we're seeing is it's pretty dang accurate. And the big difference there is now in a legacy world, we can only send a cell sector to one PSAP. In the next-gen environment, we can overlay CHP, San Mateo City and San Mateo County all have shape files, and depending on the side of the street that you're on, you go to county. You're over here, you go to city, you're on this side of the street, you go to CHP. And it'll detect that and route it to the right place. I can't remember, Janae, do you know the CHP error, the berth that they're giving on the freeways? Is it like 25 meters? It's 15 or 25 meters on the side of a freeway and off-ramp. So if you're driving at 90 miles an hour and drive off an off-ramp and flip 50 meters into the field, when you call, you're going to get local PSAP. If you're driving at 40 miles an hour and flip 45 meters or 20 meters, you'll get CHP. They've specifically programmed their GIS data to be within that freeway boundary. And your last question, I didn't put the diagram slide in here. We've talked a lot about it. So in today's legacy 911 world, you have how many 911 trunks going into your center? Do you know? No? Okay. What PSAP are you with? San Francisco? You got a lot. You're a little busy. So let's, as an example, you have 20 911 trunks coming in, and a backhoe cuts 10 of them. Well, you've got 50% reduction in your 911 trunk availability. In the next-gen world, what we've had is the region vendor bring in 2 fiber optic network, when available, diverse path. So they'll have AT&T and Charter. And then the prime network, 2 fiber optic network, diverse when available. So they'll have Comcast and Verizon. As now you have 4 networks. And then we've asked for a LTE solution to be placed in the back room with dual SIM. So now we have 5 networks that are available to support. And then Atos, your prime network service provider, is connecting into the state's microwave network CapsNet as that 6th layer of redundant connection. So what happens today is you get a backhoe company comes in and go, oh, I'm just dig right here, boom, 50% of your network goes down. You've lost 50% of your calls. In tomorrow's next-gen environment, backhoe takes out 2 of those fiber connections. 2 of those conduits get ripped up. Seamless transition to all of the other network. If they take the region's network, automatic failover to Atos. Atos is connected into every PSAP in the state, and they can deliver. If they take out all 4 of those fiber connections, and I really want to preface when 4 fiber is available. In Plumas County, they don't have 4 fiber connections. But we're working with alternate ways to connect into them. But if those 4 fiber connections get cut, we have an LTE solution in your back room that will carry all of your voice traffic and support everything you need on that network. And if the LTE solution goes down, we will eventually connect into the state's microwave network, and that will be your last redundant solution. And at that point, if CapsNet is offline, we've got a bigger problem than answering 911. So, I mean, that's the worst day of the worst day for California, if we get to that point.
Good answer. I like that. Except we only have 1 main IMPO into our building, so if they cut it at the street level, we're done. But my question is you were saying that when they transfer on the new NG911, it will not hit the camera trunks?
That's right.
So, but we're not live, and someone else could be live. So how do you have both systems work together on our?
So as your regional partners go live, you will be set up to take transfer on NextGen Network. You won't get live traffic, you'll get a transfer. And then eventually we'll come in and test you out to get live direct calls.
Okay, and my last question is there used to be a website we can look and see where we're at in the whole scheme of things?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been on it, but the last time I checked, I couldn't tell anymore.
Yeah. We still have the dashboard up. It's on our splash page, www.caloes.ca.gov/911. Scroll down and you'll see pre-migration dashboard. When I looked at it the other day, I think we had 6 PSAPs ready to go live, being scheduled for carrier migration, and then it'll show you the graph of who's been tested, who's has trouble tickets entered, and then you could drill down to your county and to your PSAP to find out where you're estimated in that schedule. Yeah. We're trying to get better data. Our subcontractor, 911 Authority, introduced a trouble ticketing system that has a little more granular data, and we're looking at their dashboard. We got to clean some of that data up because there's some confidential information on there, but we want to kind of get some high-level metrics that you can go take a look at. What other questions? Remember, I'm the guy standing between you and lunch. Okay? And I can talk for a long time. Ask Janae. Okay. So thank you to Carbyne for giving their update about Cloud CPE. The last time we presented at NAPCO in January, this slide did not look this nice. I'm very proud to say everybody down here at this bottom corner in green is cleared through the NG911 lab and authorized to sell in the state of California. These are all of our vendors that have been tested and validated. We have Motorola, who is close. The big gap with Motorola is we're working through some network connection with the region network service provider. They've already tested with Atos, our prime service provider. As soon as we get that region network, they're going to complete their testing, and then they'll be available for resale. Note that we have AT&T reselling Motorola and then Motorola Direct. That's the same environment that we had with our legacy CPE. You can either go to Motorola and buy it direct. A Motorola tech came out, did the install, programming, configuration, or you can have AT&T do that. AT&T is also partnered with Carbyne and Intrado. So huge presence with them, and super proud of all the work that they've done. Then we have Intrado and Carbyne Direct. Lumen is reselling Omni 911. NGA has their call handling, and then Atos has their call handling. And then Lumen is also working with Motorola. We don't have them on the slide yet. They're waiting for Motorola to completely go through the lab before they come in and do their testing. In all of these contracts, the contract that originally expired in June this year, that was our first round of those contracts. Everybody who successfully passed the lab or is active in the lab got a contract extension, and that extension is good for 2 more years. So they'll go through June of 26. One of the things Carbyne mentioned is AI. Has anybody looked at an AI tool at all for call handling? Anybody here have a call tree? Something that screens your calls, especially like your non-emergency lines coming in? Emergency lines, and it's going to help, and this will be great. People call, I sat and I had to listen, press 1, press 5, do this, do that, go forward, go backward, and all I know is neighbor's dog is barking. Well, it's not me who can help you. If you would listen to option number 4 and pressed option 4, you'd have got to animal control. And I remember being frustrated because the system wasn't well designed. And there were a lot of angry citizens who called. But it worked out, and then we saw great return on investment getting those calls for like the city operator, down trees, barking dogs, illegally parked cars, were going to the appropriate place. Now fast forward up to about 2 years ago, that was our technology. And then some of the AI technology started to come out, and we started from the state 911 office, we started to look at it. How can this help? Who here is 100% staffed and has 0 overtime in their PSAP? So you guys need some help with calls, right? We've been working with a couple of PSAPs. They bought AI technology themselves, and they agreed to pilot it for the state. And we've been monitoring their success. We have one PSAP integrated their own workflow. They didn't use the vendor to help them program and really streamline the workflow. And they saw an immediate 23 to 27% reduction in non-emergency calls. And one of the benefits, the city of San Diego has a homeless issue. A lot of citizens, especially business owners, call first thing in the morning, hey, I got a homeless guy sleeping on the front step of my business. Well, AI was getting this, and it would send a link to the business owner's cell phone, and they can just manually type the information in. And then they programmed a timer so that information comes into somebody in radio as an active CAD call. And the person looks at it and says, this meets our criteria, all my questions are answered, this is a valid call for me to send resources. Enter, now it's pending. After 15 minutes, no resource to send, the system pings back via text message to the person who entered that. Just following up, is this homeless person still a problem? Yes. Okay, thank you. We'll update your status. We'll keep you advised when we have resources en route. When resources are dispatched, is this still a problem? Yes. Do you want somebody to contact you? No. Thank you, have a good day, we'll deal with this. Everything automated. One of the other things that I've looked at, who here takes private property or repos in dispatch? Okay. What's that? 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes on the dispatcher's workload to take all the information, validate it, get it entered, and go, right? What if an AI bot could do all that work for you, have that 3-minute workload through AI, and it pops up in front of a dispatcher who validates, yep, all that's right, boom, it's entered. Now we've taken that workload off your dispatcher. Noise complaints. Somebody calls in a noise complaint, you can do all of the follow-up via text message, right from your CAD system through the AI bot, right back to your citizen, right back to you. You don't need to call anybody. One of the other jurisdictions that we're watching has seen a 40% reduction in non-emergency workload based on AI. So when we think of staffing levels and we get to our staffing study, how beneficial would it be to be able to have an AI bot handling those non-emergency alarm calls is another one. Was ASAP to PSAP. Has everybody heard of that? ASAP to PSAP is a connection from NCIC, from the alarm company through NCIC, I think it is, into your CLETS server. CLETS server then connects to your CAD server, so the alarm company sends an automated message, it goes through, and automatically populates a CAD call. You get the alarm data, hit enter, and then you got your call for service to dispatch. The state of California, Department of Justice, has not been in favor of City Riverside ASAP to PSAP. But nationwide, there's not a lot of agencies using that. Through an AI bot, you can have your alarm companies fill out a template, push it to AI, AI populates everything in CAD, right in front of your dispatcher, call pops up, that's a valid call for service, enter, dispatch your resource. Now that alarm call no longer goes to a dispatcher. So I know in the city of Sacramento, anytime the wind blows in the wintertime, every alarm in the city goes off. So you get a big spike in workload. So what events would help remove that workload? Or AI, how would that help those events to remove that workload? So we're looking at the state level on how we can fund AI and supplement that to your 911 phone system to answer those non-emergency alarm calls and maybe an emergency call as well. So more to come on that. Hopefully we can have a little bit more traction, and I appreciate Carbyne having that integration already. I think there's a lot of benefits. It's still a little scary. I remember the first time I called my bank and the AI bot answered. I'm like, just give me a human. And then pretty soon I found I can get better service quicker through the bot than having to wait for an attendant to get a hold of me to say, I don't know if you would have pressed option 4, you could have had this done 20 minutes ago. So I think as we learn more and more use of this technology, it'll be very beneficial. A big component of that is public education. What's your public's perspective? In larger areas, I think the citizens realize San Diego PD probably can't answer every call, so having AI makes sense. If you go to Mono County, where there's only 5,000 or 6,000 people who live in the county, probably doesn't make sense to have an AI bot answer their calls. Any question about cloud CPE? Okay. This is Janae's slide. This is job security for our friend Janae and Heather. Today, we have 228 PSAPs that have equipment 7 years or older. What does that mean? It's probably got a limited shelf life. In technology, what we've found is your CPE, by contract, should have been maintained. Sorry, Bunny.
No offense.
In the legacy contract, it said the vendor who installed and maintains your equipment should be doing all the server updates and everything. What we found is that wasn't necessarily happening. So we got to a point where we have equipment that's 7 years old that is literally end of life, out of support. The server operating system is no longer supported. Most of these are built public safety grade, so they're good. The challenge is, if one fails, you know where they get replacement parts? eBay. Literally eBay. So, I don't know about you. If I were a PSAP manager and my tech said, hey, I just got this great deal on eBay, I'm going to go put this in the back room. I'll be right back. I'm not feeling a whole bunch of safe and secure, right? So, our big push to get these vendors through the lab was to answer this. Now, Janae joined us a couple of years ago, and that was through COVID. We had a couple of the folks that were on Janae's team opted to go seek other employment. Tim promoted within our team, so congratulations, Tim. Thanks for abandoning us in our time of need. But it left Janae, she has 5 total authorized people, left her with 1. CalHR is not the fastest at hiring sometimes, and it's been a year and a half of hiring and going through this process. Well, we're proud to say her team is fully staffed now. We have Heather here. Heather, this is your county, right? Yep. So Heather, thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions regarding CPE funding, Heather's the person you want to see. And if Heather makes you mad, go talk to Janae. And if Janae makes you mad, write it down and send it to me. I don't care. No, I'm kidding. These folks are great, but their workload is huge because we have 228 CPE solutions that need to be replaced. That number continues to grow each and every day. So, we're looking at our partners in Carbyne, AT&T, Motorola, everybody else on this list to come out. And if you have questions about what they're telling you, if you want somebody from the OES team there to hear what they're saying, let Heather know. Heather is your primary point of contact. And if she's not available, she can get one of her partners to help cover that meeting. Go out. There's a lot of really cool technology that's available. It's a little bit different than your basic system that we have today, obviously shown earlier today, but it's all been vetted technology through our lab. And if you want to see it, you're more than welcome to come up to the CalOES office in Sacramento. We can show it to you in our lab. We have all of these solutions available to see. I will give you a disclaimer. When we built our lab, we're thinking, 6 PSAP, that's going to be enough. And then we wrote this contract and ended up with 11 CPE solutions with 19 resellers. And we were like, 6, 11, that's not going to work. So we're in the process of building a new lab. We're going to have a 28-seat PSAP built in our facility. And then the lab that we currently have is we're going to have that as our showcase lab. So if you want to come up and see the technology, bring a team up, it'll be your digital playground. You can come up, work with our engineers, work with Janae and her team to show you the CPE. You can make test calls. You can transfer from Carbyne over to Intrado to Atos and see how they all work. And then if you want one of the vendor reps, you contact the vendor and they can come up to Sacramento and meet you and showcase that technology as well. So any questions about CPE? Everybody's happy. Has anybody started to do demos, look at it? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody see something that they're just like, huh? So we have 2 solutions, cloud solutions, and Desert Hot Springs. Fresno is going to be the largest cloud CPE deployment. NGA 911 has that. They're active in deployment, no cutover date yet. And then between all of the vendors, probably 40 or 42 somewhere in either sale or approved installation. So if you want to find out, is there anybody close to you, contact Heather and she can let you know. And if you hear somebody, I know Desert Hot Springs has been great. If folks have questions about what they're doing, she's been great at answering questions. She accepts visitors. You could set up a meeting visitor. Not like you could just cruise to Desert Hot Springs in an afternoon, but if you're going to be down in that area, it is a good opportunity to go see it live in the field. This, I just wanted to showcase, these are our new advisors. Teresa Fryer has been with us for many years, but the rest of the folks here are new in all of their contact information and ultimately Janae's contact. So I'll make these slides available to you guys. I'll make sure the board has them and they can be distributed if you guys want all of this information. So statewide staffing study. There's a 911 advisory board, which is governor-appointed members appointed to represent the 911 industry and work with the 911 office and provide advice on technology, funding, strategic plan, operations manual, policy, everything in that realm. Because they're governor-appointed, they have very strict rules about getting together. When we have a 911 advisory board meeting, we have to have an agenda publicly posted 10 days before the meeting. We have to publicly make every facility and advisory board member attending the meeting. If somebody's remote, we have to make that facility available to the public. And we have to have our staff attorney in the room with the advisory board members, and then the chair, Budge Courier, in with the board members. So a lot of work for them to get together to provide advice to the state. In about 2012, going on in the state, Next Gen 911 was really starting to get traction across the nation as a really big topic. And the state of California was working with the advisory board, and they're like, we need a Next Gen 911 work plan. So we're going to schedule all these meetings. And the advisory board members were like, hold up, this is too complicated for us to just get together and have a work session. So if we assign subcommittee members and put them on what we're calling the Long Range Planning Committee, they can meet anytime they want. They have to post an agenda public, and they have to make the facility open, but the attorneys don't need to be there. It's less pomp and circumstance, and they can work. They can get stuff done, come back and advise us, we can agree to it, and then make it so. So the Long Range Planning Committee was a long explanation to get to the story. A couple of years ago, we were having a Long Range Planning Committee meeting, and as we were prepping, everybody kind of filtering in, one of the committee members goes, man, I'm down like 40% staff. And somebody else said, yeah, I'm like 25% down. And then CHP was like, yeah, it's bad. So the state, we asked, what can we do? Is there anything that we can do? And the committee members, they were like, I don't know what you can do. Can you like us people? What is this? So we started talking about it. And we asked the question, why are you 30, 40%, 50% down in staffing? Why aren't you? And everybody was like, I pay well. Monterey. I work in Monterey. I mean, who doesn't want to work in Monterey? So we went back and we were having a cup of coffee and started talking. And I said, what if we did a study? What if we started to ask the questions? What's happening? Why can't we hire folks? Why can't we retain folks? What does it take to hire and retain? So we developed a statewide staffing study. And it was 911 Authority was the team that got hired. And has anybody heard of Dr. Michelle Lilly? So Dr. Michelle Lilly is a nationwide, well-known, well-respected, I think she's a clinical psychologist is her title. And she has long worked in public safety, and her focus is PTSD and wellness. She worked with the dispatchers that handled the Carbyne shooting, and of all of the dispatchers that were involved in that event, every dispatcher but 3 with her work returned to work. So she's really good. 911 Authority hired her to be a part of this study, and her focus was the wellness side. And she's added a huge value for us in this study. So we finally received the drafted study. We got that on Monday. We had 695 line level surveys completed. Now, we don't have an exact number of how many dispatchers we have in the state. We know we have just over 3,200 dispatch positions available in the state of California. So we anticipate somewhere around double that for dispatchers. LAPD kind of sways that because they got like 10 million dispatch positions down there. I don't know. CHP's another one. CHP has a lot of centers with a lot of positions to be able to scale up and down. But we estimate somewhere around 6,000-ish dispatchers statewide. We had 695 respondents. We started with 91. There were 2 surveys, line level and then a manager survey. Started with 91 management surveys. 71 were completed with at least 75% of the data. The management survey was complex. We were asking for overtime hours, salary. What was the overtime calculation? Was it, straight time, time and a half? Did you get double time? What were your union rules? It was extremely complex, but we were trying to drill down to very specific data points. So now we have the drafted study. We're going to present that to the Long Range Planning Committee. They're having a special meeting in July. We'll present them that draft. They're going to review it and provide their feedback to see, is there any data point that we may have missed? Did we collect enough data to be useful for you at the PSAP? Based on their feedback, we'll present it to the advisory board in August. If the advisory board agrees and approves, we'll finalize that study and then we'll publish that publicly and we'll push that out to all of our PSAP contacts and we'll post it on our website. Ultimately, my goal is to make this study public. We have other states and then the federal 911 office who are doing similar studies, and we want to marry all of our data together. We are seeing very specific patterns of data nationwide, but we want to be able to give you the tools to be able to go back to your jurisdiction and say, we're not paying enough. We have an issue with culture and management. Whatever the need is, we want to give you the tools to be able to go back. This is some of the data that I pulled from the study. Salary is important. Salary is what puts a roof over your head and food on your table, right? But if you're really happy and truly valued at work, and truly a member of that team at work, is salary the most important thing to you? Or if you're treated poorly, you're like, yeah, paying me enough to put up with this crap every day, right? I thought that was very interesting because I think there's a little perspective in there. Folks who are probably paid well, but deal with a lot of crap at work that they're like, I need to be paid a little bit more to have to deal with this, right? Something that was funny, in the line level survey, line level dispatchers were saying management's got a problem. They're not listening to us, they don't trust us, they don't believe in us. In the management study, they said management's perfect. So I think there's an opportunity for us to go help PSAPs do some self-reflection and some learning. Culture. Who here has that PSAP when you walk in, it's like, ah, you see angels, rainbows, Skittles fall out of the sky. Yeah. If you got that PSAP, let me know. I'm looking for a job. I'm sorry? I know of one PSAP. Yeah. Oh, well, Janae, do we have Skittles at work? Yeah. 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 I think we do. And please talk to Shelley, Tim, Heather, and Janae. I will put it this way, just to brag for a moment. I started with the state 6 years ago. I poached Janae and 2 of her co-workers, paying them less money. One took like a $2,000 a month pay cut. We hired Don Jones from Sonoma County, from a manager to a line level analyst at a significant pay cut. And who else? We've done very good at hiring and recruiting. And in my 6 years, we have 42 people on staff. In my 6 years, we've had 2 people leave because they didn't feel they were a good fit, and they were not a good fit for the team. Everybody else has either retired or promoted within the unit, like Tim. How long you been with us, Tim? 6 years. So I'm very proud of our work area, but we're different. It's not a PSAP. We have the opportunity, if you want a day off, take a day Your workload can wait. In 911, you can't, except for you, Shelley, your workload can't wait. In 911, you can't do that, right? 911 has to be answered, so it's a completely different environment. But there is one PSAP in Northern California I talked to when we started this study. The manager called me and said, we don't have an issue. I've been fully staffed for 3 years. As a matter of fact, my dispatchers just talked to me this morning asking me why I don't have overtime. And I'm like, did you buy that crack on the street? 'Cause, I mean, think about that. Your dispatch staff coming and complaining there's no overtime. I don't know what that would be like, right? In dispatch, one of the things this survey collected was stress outside of work. So of 195 respondents, 21.3% care for elderly parents, stress related to childcare, financial stress, poor work-life balance, personal health issues, or experiencing another stressor. And the important one here, 2 or 3 stressors, 2 or 3 of these stressors are occurring in the majority of our teams. So when they walk in the door, they're already worried, I'm financially, I have to put my kid in daycare, I can't go to that birthday party, I can't do this, I can't do that, and I'm sick, and I got to take that time off to go to that medical appointment. That's eating them up when they walk in the door. And they walk in and you look at them and go, oh yeah, there was a sickie on graveyard, so I'm going to need you to hang out a little bit after work tonight. So that adds to all of this stress. Again, focusing on the wellness aspect of this, I'm hoping this gives us the tools to be able to examine what's happening in our centers and how can we help provide some relief to this. We might not be able to solve each and every one of them, but we might be able to solve a couple of them. And then why are they leaving? Commute, cost of living everywhere, right? That one's kind of ironic because you can move to Reading where your cost of living is lower, but so is your pay. So unless you're winning the lottery or building your 401 up enough to be able to go pay cash for a house somewhere, you're still going to be in that same boat. Management. 65% of folks were leaving because of management. Then 74, stress and mental health. Again, how can we help put tools and resources in the hands of our line folks to make their lives a little bit better? A part of our role in 911 is we now are rolling out 988 across the state. The state of Arizona has done a really good job with their program, so we went to visit them last year. The state has one 988 center that takes all of the calls except for Tucson, the county of Tucson. Tucson has elected to do 988 a little bit different. In partnership with the state entity that answers 988, they have clinicians, 988 clinicians embedded in dispatch. So we were like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I came from a dispatch center, so I was like, would I want to sit next to a clinician? That's like a Jerry Springer episode we don't want to have, right? So we went to visit them. And what the PSAP management team said is, before you put a clinician in my center, I'm going to have the right of refusal. They got to interview with me. And if they're a fit for the team, we'll put them in here. When the manager, she's a director, the director of the center started to interview the clinicians, she was sitting at about 60 to 65% staff, low morale, inability to retain and train folks. Sick leave was through the roof. Sound familiar? So they brought these clinicians in. Now, all of the clinicians they brought in had prior public safety of some sort. They had a retired police sergeant who went through and got trained on how to be a mental health clinician over the phone. They had a retired probation officer, had somebody who had come from dispatch, left dispatch to be a clinician. There was a fourth person. They brought her in. She was outside public safety. She didn't work. So in the middle of a graveyard shift, they were like, you can leave. And they sent her packing. So that built a little bit of credibility with the 911 team. Our managements, they really want this to work. Unintended consequence. These folks working in dispatch, originally dispatchers were like, you can sit in the car. If we need you, we'll call you. If we get a call that we think should be yours, we'll transfer it. And over time, they started to build relationships. Obviously, 911's busier than 988. And these clinicians sitting in the room started to hear critical calls that their dispatch peers were handling. So over time, they would just come up and say, hey, I heard that call. Do you want to go grab a cup of coffee? Let's just take a walk. Over time, they built a relationship. Now they're embedded in the center of the room. And they're monitoring 911 calls in between their 988 calls. And they take breaks together. They break bread, they'll go eat, break bread together. And after a critical incident, that clinician will get up and take that dispatcher for a 10-minute walk. 97% staffed with almost 100% retention. They have people fighting to work in that center. And they're getting tons of applicants. And the wellness, the sick leave, the negativity, the workplace issues have all gone away as an unintended consequence of embedding clinicians into the workplace. So when I see health and wellness, I think, how can we, maybe not a 988 clinician, but how can we model something? Is there a way that we can get somebody to come in and visit the PSAP and work with your dispatchers? Just as ideas, putting ideas out on the table. So that's what I had. We're 5 minutes over. Yes, sir.
Answer to my question, but I'm going to ask anyway because you mentioned Budge Courier a while ago, and he may be the person to ask the question from. My question is regarding CAD. What is the average age of a CAD system in your, experience?
On our website, in 2019, AB 911 was passed by the California State Legislature for us to do a feasibility study across the state to determine, could we create a statewide database for self-registration similar to the Rave Smart 911 product? When we read the legislative requirement, it was, how do you get information from the public to the first responder? So we had the study completed as, how do we do statewide CAD? Because that's really what we need. And then a bolt-on self-registration database. So that feasibility study is still posted on our website and still available. It's called the AB 911 Manny Act Feasibility Study. And in there, it talks about the top CAD systems that we have in the state, the age of CAD, and what the estimated costs of CAD are. So that legislation required us to present this report to California State Legislature by January of 2020. So we did that. We gave it to them and they were like, oh crap, there's this thing happening out of China and it's spreading across the globe. COVID hit. So that study was shelved and hasn't been touched since. But we continue to push for the data that's in that study, but it is still available. Yeah. But right now, we do not have, the 911 branch does not have authority over CAD statewide. So the only thing that we can reference for CAD data is out of that study. Yeah. Other questions? All right. Are there any topics that you would like to hear that weren't discussed today? More jokes? Less jokes? More jokes. Okay, I got one for more jokes. No.
No, if we could talk a little bit about the rapid deploy text from 911 platform and some of the challenges the state is encountering with regards to PSAPs not being in the compliance percentile.
I'd be happy to. I'm not going to out anybody. So what Brenda is referencing is part of Janae and her team's responsibility is to monitor PSAP answer times. Answer times include text to 911. So 90% of your calls need to be answered in 15 seconds. 95% of your calls need to be answered within 20 seconds to include text to 911. Recently, Janae pulled a report, gave it to her team. 175 PSAPs of 447 were not on, let me back up. Based on the report received, 175 PSAPs were out of compliance with the answer time. So Janae and her team started to do the outreach, shaking their fingers, doing their job, and everybody came, I don't want to misstate this, a majority of the PSAPs came back and said, whoa, I monitor my team. I'm doing tests all the time with my team. We seem to be doing our job. So Janae is working with Atos, who manages text to 911 for the state of California. Rapid Deploy is the subcontractor to provide text over the top if you don't have integrated text. So they're working to validate that reporting metric. And they're looking at how can we build maybe a more clear report, and also can we build a report that shows when you're not logged in? Is there some sort of alarm or something? Because we know we do have one large PSAP in the state that sometimes doesn't log into their text. And they're a behemoth agency and they just think that they don't need to. We're working through that. So does that answer your question? I'm trying to be nice in case there's a PSAP out there going, I got Janae's email and I'm embarrassed. Yeah. So, yeah. And I will say, specific to answer times, there's a Bay Area reporter who has been hitting OES with PRAs monthly, probably monthly, maybe every 3 weeks, on what we're doing with answer times, what our legislative authority is, and why aren't we defunding PSAPs. Now, our role, and I'm going to use you as the example, you're a big PSAP. If I defunded you, where am I going to send your calls? There's nobody in your county who can handle your workload, right? I'm not going to send them to San Francisco or Oakland or Monterey. And our role is we want to help you be successful. So I will caution you, answer times has been a big subject, and we just answered a PRA the beginning of this week. Not related to text, still related to 911 answer times. However, this reporter is very wise and understands how to formulate her request to get data. So it would not surprise me to have this information requested and us have to publish. I give that to you so you can go talk to your teams, especially your executive teams, if one night you're watching the news and Brenda's picture's up there and the reporter's going, hi, this is Paul Troxel reporting live out in front of Alameda County because Brenda's not doing her job. More at 11, right? And we don't want that. But we have to provide records when requested. Anybody have any questions about answer time? Okay. You guys look hungry. All right, what other questions? Really quick. That's it? All right. Thank you, folks. If there are other subjects that you would like us to bring and talk about, let us know, please. We will prepare them for the next meeting, provided we get invited back. We're more than happy to discuss whatever we're doing. Thank you very much.
Oh, we'll be bringing you back. Don't you worry.
Dang it.
You're stuck with us now. All right. Thank you very much for that report. I love hearing the updates on all that. As always, lunch is in the room. If you follow through the doors, if you know where the coffee and water was, that's where food is. We are not allowed to eat anything inside of this room, so you're going to have to eat in there.
Thank you,
Make sure you bring your little raffle tickets, because we're going to be doing door prizes inside of there.